welcome back to the DM&C show, where we often like to ask the question, what do you think about that? Then let's talk about it. And here we are about to begin part 2 of Jaspreet Singh's video, and this one is going to be more for the investors. And as I mentioned in part 1 and said before, he breaks this down into a couple of different sections. And so this part is going to be for the investor dad, because that's also what we do. We build our family. We invest in our family. We build it up. We make it great. And we try to have something to pass on down to our next and future generations. And so with that being said, let's get right into the video.
To the second part of President Biden's proposals, which are now the investment tax changes that he wants to do. And remember, he wants to make 4 big changes here. Number 1 is he wants to get rid of crypto subsidies. Number 2 is he wants to eliminate like-kind exchanges, the real estate 1031 exchanges. Number 3 is he wants to increase capital gain taxes on the wealthy. And number 4 is he wants to remove this concept of stepped-up basis. Now, I got to give you 2 little disclaimers here. Number 1 is, although I am a licensed attorney, I'm not your attorney. So if you have specific tax questions, talk to a tax advisor in your area. And the second thing I want to let you know is that on May 21st, 2024, I'm hosting a live, free, and virtual stock market investing workshop where I'm going to be going over my own stock market investing strategies and things you want to consider when you're investing your money in the stock market in 2024 in this economy. So if you want to learn more about investing your money in stocks, whether it's through funds, ETFs, mutual funds, or index funds, or investing in individual companies, how to find undervalued stocks, this is a completely free workshop. I would love for you to join me on May 21st at 8 p.m. and I got the link for you to register down in the description below. The first thing the president wants to do in the crypto space is eliminate what are known as wash sales when it comes to taxes. This already exists in the stock market, and the way it works is, let's assume that you go out and you buy a crypto for $10,000. And then it goes down in value to, let's just say, $4,000.
Like
now, you still want to own this crypto, so now you sell this crypto. And now you have a loss of $6,000 because you sold the stock at a loss. And then immediately after you sell, you go out and you buy it again for $4,000. Now you have this tax loss on paper, and you own this crypto at $4,000. Now, generally, the way this works in the stock market is you can't realize these losses and then go on and just buy this stock again, because that would be considered what's known as a wash sale, and you can't do that and realize those tax losses. In the crypto market, you can, at least until now. And this is where President Biden is working now to eliminate this type of tax loss, where you can just sell this crypto, buy it back again, and just keep doing this again and again and again, which can allow you to harvest some of these losses through this wash sale, and he doesn't want you to do that anymore. The second thing President Biden is proposing is to eliminate the like-kind exchange, also known as a 1031 exchange in the real estate market, because what he says is that this loophole is not seen in any other asset class. So why do we need this in real estate? Now, the way that the 1031 exchange works in real estate is, let's assume you go out and buy this property for, I don't know, $1 million. Then you own this property, you're generating cash flow. Some years go by, and now you find out that this property is worth $5 million. Now, there's a couple things that you could do. You could just hold on to this property. You could do a cash out refinance. Or you could sell this property. Now, when you sell this property, you could have a $4 million gain. You bought it for $1 million, you sold it for $5 million, it's $4 million of profit. But what you can do in the real estate space is called a 1031 exchange, which says that now you can take all $5 million, go out and buy a bigger property. If you take all $5 million to do that, well, now you don't have to pay any money in taxes today. You can keep doing this again and again and again, assuming you own the property for at least a year and a day. And this like-kind exchange allows you to own a property, make cash flow, see the depreciation, sell it, make the profits, use the profits to buy a bigger property, and not have to pay any money in taxes on these gains, so long as you continue doing this 1031 exchange. And this is where President Biden is saying, no, I don't want you to keep doing that in real estate. This should be taxed during this sale, whether or not you do a 1031 exchange. That should not exist. Now, again, that's going to be a pretty difficult thing to pass, but this is what he's proposing. The third thing that President Biden wants to do is raise capital gains taxes, especially on wealthy people. So what this means now is, let's just assume that you go out and you become a doctor and you make $1 million a year from your job. Now, if you make $1 million a year from your job, you already know that you have to pay the top tax rates, which, like I talked about in the beginning of this video, are 37% at the time of me recording this video. video,
right.
the new proposal is 39.6%. So either you're paying 37% of your income in taxes or 39.6 as your top tax rate. Now, the interesting thing today is if you go out and you made $1 million from your investments, maybe you sold a stock that you've owned for 5 years and you made $1 million in profit. So this is what you earned as a doctor. This is what you made from your investments. The top tax rate today in the
I gotta
stock
pause this
market or
right here
the
for a quick
investment market.
second, because it seems like the government is trying to be fair and equal, and I get that and all, but I don't think that it's fair if I go out and I earn all of this money only to have to give it back to the government, which actually places me back at a level, a financial level, where I'm with somebody who doesn't work as hard as I do, or and just like I'm not seeing the fairness, because if I make $1 million, if I make $1 million that year, and damn near 40% of it goes to taxes, right? Let's just say an even 40%, right? So we're talking about 600,000 now, right? Um, where does that actually put me on the scale of things? Because now someone else who doesn't make that much, but also get subsidized or whatever and everything else or whatever. Let's just say it's 500,000, right? Because that's at the first threshold, like where shit starts to change or whatever. So you mean to tell me I can make, let's just say 300,000 and be in the same boat as someone who actually makes 600,000 at the end of the day with taxes and their percentages and whatnot? Like we're dead even. What's the incentive to go out and get the $600,000 job? Why work so hard? Why bust my ass? Why stay in school so long if I'm only gonna be at the same level as someone who, didn't work as hard, didn't go to school as long, didn't invest as much time in their education for the same amount of pay? Let's get back to it. If someone out there can help me understand that, can explain it a little better, because that's where I see everything going. It's like, they want us level, which is all good and all, but at the same time, if you working harder, if you put in more time, there definitely should be a bigger reward.
It is called capital gains rate. The top tax rate today is 20%. This is how you hear of some wealthy people like Warren Buffett making hundreds of millions of dollars a year, paying lower percentages of their income in taxes than his secretary, because the secretary gets an ordinary income. She earns money from her job, and because she earns money from her job, she pays the ordinary tax rate, versus Warren Buffett makes money from his investments, and investment income comes at a lower tax rate. And this is where President Biden is saying, if you make over $1 million a year, you should not qualify for these capital gains tax rates. Instead, you should be paying these same ordinary tax rates. Or if you have a net worth of over $100 million a year, you should be paying a minimum of 25% on your capital gains rates. So essentially, if you're a wealthy individual, you should be paying the ordinary tax rates on your investment income. Now, you can see why this makes a lot of people upset, because, well, if you're accustomed to paying lower tax rates on your investment money, you don't want to pay more. And some people are concerned that if you open this up for wealthy people now, how long will it be until somebody making $100 a year has to pay the ordinary tax rates on their investment income as well? But regardless, this is one of the proposals where essentially that if you're wealthy, that instead of getting these capital gains rates, you have to pay the ordinary tax rates on your investment income. And the fourth change that President Biden wants to make on investment taxes is removing this whole concept of stepped up basis. And the way that this works is, let's just assume that you go out and you buy this investment for $5 million. And now it goes up in value to $20 million. And now you have a couple options. Well, if you sold this, you would have a $15 million gain. Let's assume you don't get the 1031 exchange. That's a lot of money you have to pay in taxes, because now you made a $15 million profit, and whether you're paying 20% or 39% of your income in taxes, that's a lot of money you got to pay in taxes. And now you're thinking about, well, how am I going to pass on this asset right here to my kids? I bought it for $5 million, it's worth $20 million. What's the best way for me to pass on this wealth to my kids? Well, what there is right now is something called stepped up basis, which means, let's assume that instead of you selling this asset that you bought for $5 million, that's worth $20 million, that you just own this asset until you die. Well, when you die, what ends up happening to your kids when you give it to your kids is they get what's called stepped up basis, which says that essentially it looks like in the eyes of the IRS that your kids didn't purchase this asset for $5 million. It looks like in the eyes of the IRS that they purchased this asset for $20 million. So you die, this asset goes to your kids, it's worth $20 million, and then they sell this asset the day after you die. And now what they do is they get $20 million in their pocket, but then they report to the IRS that they sold this asset for $20 million, but their basis, what looks like the purchase price, is also $20 million because they got it when it was worth $20 million when you passed away. So now their tax on that gain is essentially zero because it's worth $20 million when they got it, when you died, and they sold it for $20 million. That's what stepped up basis is, and this is where President Biden says, I don't want that to happen anymore.
Now, that part absolutely sucks. This is going to be the end of our part two. Told you it wasn't going to be too long, but yeah, as you see, like if you're trying to make it, if you actually have faith in yourself, you believe that you can make it, that you're gonna make it, that your kids are gonna make it, even, then these are some of the things that you definitely want to be aware of, because like it can reverse the whole process. Everything that you did for your kids, everything that your kids are doing to take that next step, to make that generational step up, could be all reversed by giving your money to the IRS, to the government, to some other country, basically. Because how often do we see it being used here? Where is it being used here? We don't know. We don't see it. Trying to find the documents to say where it's going is damn near impossible. Um, but these are some of the things that we need to be aware of. Guys, I hope you liked the short video. Once again, a link to his video will be down in the description. Go check him out. Go hear the whole story. Get all the information. Do some research. Stay educated. Um, that's what Coach has to say. Take care of your family the right way. Peace out, YouTube. I'll talk to you later.